Okay, it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Daniel Musher, who is Mordecai Kaplan's grandson. His mother was Hadassah and his father was Sidney Musher. And every Shabbat he would spend the afternoon with one or another grandparents. The extended family lived within blocks of one another in New York City. Okay.
All right. So you want to hear some funny stories about
I
my
do.
grandfather?
I do.
Well, first of all, he had a wonderful sense of humor, and very few people realize that because he was so intensely committed to Judaism and to the survival of Judaism that he was generally very serious. But we saw the funny side. And I can tell you a few funny stories. I heard him lecture at the SAJ, an evening lecture on the Ark of the Covenant, the Mishkan. And he gave this long and learned lecture. I can't remember the content, but I can tell you at the end, someone stood up, raised their hand, stood up, and said, Rabbi Kaplan, what was the difference between the Ark of the Covenant and Noah's Ark? And without batting an eyelash, he said one of them was made to float.
Right.
That's a pretty quick repartee.
Yeah. I in the interviews that I did that I transcribed with Judith, she talked about the songs that were the extensive songs that were written for birthdays.
Oh, that is
and she
true.
remembered the words for some of them. If you go into I sent you the transcripts, and the ones with Judith you'll enjoy reading.
I remember some of the words and some of them too. Who did she say wrote the words?
I don't remember.
I think Aunt Selma wrote the words.
Is that right?
Yeah, they were, all four daughters were astonishingly talented in different ways. Selma was quite brilliant in her use of English language and her love of English literature. And she did write lyrics for songs. In the musical cantatas, Ira Eisenstein wrote the lyrics and Judith wrote the music. And I don't think Ira wrote the family songs because I don't think he had the same sense of humor or the same play with words that Selma did. I think Selma wrote the songs. I'll see that. I know, here's another story my grandfather told me. He was, the first year that he was at the Hebrew University, which was soon after it was established because he was on the founding faculty. It was a Shabbat afternoon. He was walking down the hall. And as you remember, the light switches for the rooms are outside the rooms in Israel, not inside. So inside from the bathroom came a voice, would you please turn on the light? So he turned on the light. He told me, I walked a few steps farther. He says, I'm not going to be that guy's Shabbos goy. So he went back and turned the light back off. That's pretty funny.
For someone who wasn't so observant.
Yeah. He was, as I've said, tremendously intense in his work. And my grandma Lena was tremendously protective of him. So you've got to be really old to remember that during the Second World War, apartment windows were equipped with special black shades, and there were alarms declared for practice, and everybody had to turn off their lights or have these special shades. And the special shades that my grandmother had obviously allowed a little bit of light to come through. And the warden had a whistle, and he whistled up for my grandmother to turn off the lights. because they could be seen. And she yelled back down. She couldn't turn off the lights because her husband was doing important work. And which was more important than air raid or my grandfather's writing, I don't know. He always she typed his manuscripts for him. In fact, I inherited the typewriter. I had it for a long time.
Oh, wonderful.
And he always kept his drafts to reuse the paper in the bottom left drawer of his desk. Big stack of paper. And I did the same thing as our kids were growing up. And before
So you'd write on the reverse?
Yeah, before there were computers, exactly right. I'd write on the reverse. And I could even tell what years I wrote what papers, because I could sort of see what was written and where it was relative to what he was writing, and
Oh, I love it.
so on. It was sort of interesting. He drank a glass of bourbon, a shot of bourbon at dinner every night. I asked him why. He said Maimonides recommended it.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Good medicine, the good doctor.
Unknown fact. My grandma took such good care of him that he would yell down the hall, "Ready." And at that point, she would turn the light on under his egg, and he would show up for breakfast exactly 3 minutes later when he would eat a coddled egg, whatever a coddled egg is, like some kind of a poached egg or other.